Here at the Dozier Law Firm, we've been fortunate enough to be able to do a lot of our work from home. We are greatly appreciative and thank every one of the essential workers that have been out there on the front lines every day. The Dozier Law Firm, be smart and be careful.
Connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300EB, Macon, and WDDO 980 AM, Perry, Macon.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO-EM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
It is now time for the live broadcast of the NAACP with GWENETTE, WESTBROOKS, and Mr. DUMAS.
Good evening and welcome to another segment of the NAACP Truth Show. I'm Willie DUMAS, your host. I hope you're having a great day. I understand it's raining outside, but it's certainly dry here in the studio. And so I hope you're enjoying your drive. If you're driving through the city, be careful. Saw a couple of accidents coming in, and so really got to take those precautions. I'd like to say that we're still celebrating Black History Month. The month of February is almost to a close. Some events that have occurred over the weekend, celebration of the Douglas. There was a play, I understand, that was given on Friday night, giving dedication and recognition of the Douglas Theater and its founder, and the significance of the Douglas being here in our community. So I hope those of you out there in our community took advantage of checking that out. And so we're still celebrating Black History Month. As a matter of fact, our show today is dedicated to those who have pioneered throughout the years and have made history and is yet making history as the things that they founded, the products that we use every day, we're still using because of their inventions and because of their knowledge and wisdom. One of the people we're going to celebrate today is a familiar person in not only in this community, but all across the world as far as his inventions, George Washington Carver. George Washington Carver, he's best known for the discovery and the use of the peanut. Among some of the products that the peanut has derived and developed is soap, face powder, even mayonnaise, which I thought was quite interesting, shampoo, metal polish, and adhesive. But he didn't invent peanut butter, which is kind of interesting that he did not invent peanut butter, even though he did a lot of work with the peanut. Dr. Carver is best known all across the country for coming out of Tuskegee School, and we applaud all of the inventions that he has put in place, as well as all of these products we so often use in our daily routines. Also, we're going to celebrate Dorothy Johnson Vaughan. Now, Dorothy Johnson Vaughan was part of a team that did mathematical calculations to help launch satellites and later humans into space. The group used math to help engineers figure out how the wind and gravity affects aircraft. And we know the importance of this invention simply because of the fact that space aeronautics is definitely, I guess, at the forefront because of these mathematical equations that she put together. And so we know the importance of space. We know that there have been other developments in space since then, and I'm sure they depend on those technologies and those mathematical equations that were put in place prior to today in order to improve on space exploration. And so we give our hats off to Dorothy Johnson Vaughan for her part, her team's part in the mathematical calculations that are used for space travel. Also, we're going to look at Percy Julian. Percy Julian is known as the soybean chemist for his extraordinary success in developing innovation drugs and industrial chemicals from natural soybean products. The firefighting solution he devised, known as bean soup, helped save the lives of thousands of sailors and naval airmen during World War II. His discoveries earned him more than 130 chemical patents and many professional awards. And so, as we look at Percy Julian, he's known as the soybean chemist, which, if you're in the South, you know the importance of soybeans. You see the soybean fields all through South Georgia as you travel those rural routes. And so we salute those. I see President Westbrooks has joined us, and we'd like to say good evening, President Westbrooks.
Good evening. Good evening.
We've just been covering a few of the contributions of some of our Black history persons that have made major contributions to society and to our communities.
Can you see me, Mr. Dumas?
I certainly can.
Okay. All right. Okay. Good. I was listening to you, some of the things that you was talking about. I don't know what all you covered.
We just covered about 3 of the Percy Julian, Dorothy, Vaughan, and George Washington Carver.
Okay. Yeah. And yeah, so we talked about a lot of the African Americans actually invented a lot of different things that we're able to use today, and that's part of history. A lot of people are not aware that people of color were very educated back then. They were we were very smart. We a lot of things that were there we were just didn't have a lot of times didn't have the money to back it. So we were able to invent a lot of things that even like that we use today. I was looking at Sarah Walker was the I guess she's known as Madam C.J. Walker. Did you cover her?
No, I didn't.
Okay, and she's one of the women. Name is Sarah Breedlo Walker. She was an inventor and a businesswoman, and became one of the largest employers of African American women of her time. She was known as Madam C.J. Walker. She manufactured beauty products for other African American women using formulas she developed after working. She worked for a pharmacist who taught her chemistry. And so she had her popular hair softening cream and shampoo help heal dry skin, and some of other itchy annoyances that were common in the early 1900s because of indoor plumbing wasn't widely available. So she was she created products for hair, and that name is very familiar, Madam C.J. Walker. You can pull her up, and so
she was also very wealthy, wasn't she?
Huh?
She was also pretty wealthy.
Yeah, and so we have a lot of African Americans that contributed to a lot of the things that were invented that we use today. Also improving the ironing board inventor was Sarah Boone in 1982. The ironing board is a product that used possibly just as much as is overlooked. They say in the late 19th century, it was approved upon Sarah Boone as an African American woman who was born enslaved. She was one of the first Black women in U.S. history to receive a patent. She expanded upon the original ironing board, which was essentially a horizontal wooden block, originally patented in 1958. And with Boone's 1892 edition, the board featured a narrowed and curved design, making it easier to iron garments, particularly women's clothing. And she designed into the modern ironing board that we use today. So she was responsible for changing the ironing board, because that way you can iron certain like shirts and different things like that, things that has like and it makes it easier. So she's Sarah Boone was responsible for changing the way the ironing board that we use today, because it was originally 1958.
Well, it's that was a interesting turn in that particular pattern, because I know you can't you had a problem ironing your pants, those bell bottom pants back in the 70s.
Right.
You could use that narrow portion in order to make sure you got a good crease and make sure you could get each side of the pants. And so that was quite a modification that she made to that.
Right. And so, we just wanted to share some of the things that's contributed to that Black history that people are not familiar with, that Black people did invent. We have another one here, Alcorn George Edward Jr. He was a X-ray spectrometer for distant galaxies, and 19 other. It says additional information. Alcorn is best known as the inventor of imaging X-ray spectrometer.
Wow.
that ultimately earned him the NASA Goddard Space Flight Center Inventor of the Year in 1984. So that's interesting.
And we all know the importance of X-rays, and
right.
that technology has improved medical science as well as other things, which you were mentioning NASA there. And without that, space exploration and a lot of other things wouldn't be possible. Right. So these were major contributions. But, when we were talking about all of these different inventors, a lot of them didn't get the recognition during the time when they did these inventions. As a matter of fact, there probably were other people who were taking credit for a lot of those inventions. They were pretty much looked upon as being in the background of the
right. And back to what I said, they didn't have the money to actually back inventing these products. So other people got credit for their work. But I'm so glad that they are being acknowledged and recognized today and made part of history. And something else, Mr. Dumas, that's very important. Refrigerator and truck invented by Frederick McKinley Jones in 1940. Yeah. It says if your refrigerator has any produce from your local grocery store, then you can credit African Americans. It says inventor Frederick McKinley Jones, he took out more than 60 patents through his life, including a patent for the roof-mounted cooling system that used to refrigerate goods on trucks during the extended transportation in the mid-1930s. And he received a patent for his invention in 1940 and co-founded the U.S. Thermo Control Company, later known as Thermo King. It said the company was critical during World War II, helping to preserve blood, food, and supplies during the war. So that's something else that was a major.
Well, we definitely see the importance of that even today with COVID. The COVID vaccines,
right.
Have to be a certain temperature, and if that hadn't been invented, and they wouldn't be able to get those vaccines into a lot of the rural areas, and just to actually
transport. Yes.
Yeah. So we see the importance of that. And then you mentioned food. A lot of foods, particularly milk, would be spoiled and those kinds of things in order to keep it at a certain temperature. And so these are major inventions that we give credit to, and we still recognize the value of today.
Right. And I was looking at one other one here. It was the automatic elevator door that was invented by Alexander Miles in 1887. And it said the use of elevators to everyday life keep people from committing too long and from climbing. So that again was something that was very important to something that we use every day now, elevators. And
I
so
mean, we couldn't even imagine, not having an elevator with all these tall skyscrapers that kind of fill the skylines today,
yes, it says here, I was reading here, it says before the automatic door, people had to manually shut both the shaft and the elevator door before riding. And it says forgetting to do so led to multiple accidents as
Wow.
people fell down elevator shafts because, you had to do it manually. So if people forgot to do that, it caused accident. It says, as the story goes, it says when the daughter of Alexander Miles almost fatally fell down the shaft, he took it upon himself to develop a solution. It says in 1987, he took out a patent for a mechanism that automatically opened and closed elevator shaft doors, and his designs are largely reflected in the elevators used today. So that was something, that I didn't know that a person of color invented the closing and opening.
Of the
Uh,
elevator door.
right, right.
So the next time you're waiting on the elevator and it takes a minute for that door to close, think about the fact that that was a well-needed invention.
Yes, yes, it was. And so it's just so many more uh, uh, we have here, and I'm just gonna go just do a couple more. The electric microphone co-invented by James E. West in 1964, and it says here even though for those who are not really quick to pick up mics or do karaoke microphones that are used every day to communicate over distance far and wide. The vast majority of microphones used today include the microphones used in phones and cameras. But it says that Dr. James E. West was tasked with creating a more sensitive and compact microphone while working at Bell Lab in 1960. So, along with his German colleague Gerhard Sessler, West invented the foil electric microphone, which was considerably less expensive to produce than the typical use of condenser microphones. And it says 2 years later, after it was invented, the final mode of the microphone was developed. And in 1964, they patented the landmark invention. Only 4 years late, the new microphone was in wide production and was being used in hearing aids, tape recorders, most telephones, and baby monitors. So, just goes to show you we were very educated and very smart. Um, like I said, we didn't get recognitions until later because of not having the money to
To pay
actually
patents.
patent the products that they invented. So those are just a few of the uh, Black
And
history that we wanted to share with you all to show that African Americans even back then they were in slavery, and in the you looking at 1960s that people were African Americans but people of color were inventing things that are crucial to our everyday society.
I
And
can
so
certainly, I can certainly appreciate the microphone invention because
I know.
we couldn't have this broadcast today.
I
Had
know technology. So yeah,
uh,
it's very important. And I always feel, Mr. Dumas, I sometimes at night, when I get into start doing things, and I know when I start researching, sometimes I'm up late, because once you get started into doing that type of research, it gets interesting, and you don't want to stop. You want to try to finish it up, but this is something that we gotta educate our children because
right.
especially with what's going on now, people, they look at what's going on in our communities and they think that's all that, people of color do is shoot and kill. And our children need to know that there were people of color, that people look just like them, that were able to that were inventors, that were doctors, that even back in the early years. So we just got I just think being educated is the key to everything. I think you got to know where you came from before you can know where to go. People don't really know. We don't know our history.
Well, that's part of the controversy that's happening now, as far as it goes for school curriculums. They're going against teaching certain things, particularly slavery, in school systems.
Right.
And so, a lot of the history will be lost if that's
If that bill passes.
Yes. And so we've got to stay on the forefront of what's happening in our community. The things are setting us back, just like we looked at some of the voting right acts and things that were taking place as it relates to voting. Those same types of things as it relates to educating our generations to know exactly the sacrifices and the contributions that Black and African American individuals have made. We have to continue to push that this education goes forth. And that's why during the month of February, we get the opportunity to talk about a lot of the things that, a lot of contributions that African Americans have made to society. And it's a good thing for us.
And so I know in April we got a little time, but we're going to be doing a commemoration celebration in memory of Dr. King. As you know, in April, he was assassinated there on behalf of the sanitation workers to fight for better working conditions and better pay. And so we will be actually putting on a program for in honoring his memory. And we normally feed the sanitation workers also during that time. And so we're going to be getting ready to prepare for that. I thought our meeting was tonight, but it's not. It's next Monday, Mr. Dumas. So,
okay.
So yeah, and so we're going to be preparing for that. I don't have it. The only other announcement that I have, we're just asking for people to please join this organization. Join this organization. This is a great organization. It's been around for a long time. It's not going anywhere. It's best to not saying that we don't help. We help, whether or not you're a member or not. But so often people they come to us when they need us and we never hear back from them again. And I can remember myself coming to the NAACP back in 1999 because I needed help. And so because of the NAACP being there for me, I wanted to give back. And so I've been dedicated to this organization ever since because they stepped up to the plate. And a lot of stuff that I had, I kept documentation. I was discriminated against. And so they didn't have to do a whole lot of work because I was the type of person that kept a lot of documentation and dates and things. But the fact is that they came to my rescue. They had meetings and they were just there. And
Absolutely.
so I promised myself that I wouldn't just, not give back. So many people we do help, we don't hear anything back from them. But, we need to we got to work together. There's so many issues that we're dealing with, and so we have to, you know, the more people, the more work we can get done, because we have so many different committees that we're working with, Mr. Dumas. We have housing, criminal justice, education. We have family, parents calling about their children. We have people calling about housing, people calling about their loved ones being incarcerated, or people have lost their
Condition.
jobs, been terminated. So these are, issues that we deal with all the time. So we're just asking that the membership fee is only $30 a year. We're asking for we asking for people to join and to band with us and continuing to fight for justice and equality.
President
Because
Westbrook, in our chat, someone's asking, how do they join? How do they get to join the NAACP?
Okay, so actually you can go online. There's two ways you can do it. You can go online and you can go to the NAACP under membership, and you can join that way. You just need to associate yourself with this branch. If you're in Macon, how you associate yourself, or you can actually join at large if you want to. But if you live in Macon, or if you live somewhere else and you work in Macon, you can join this branch. But if you do it online, you have to make sure it's going to ask you for a unit number. You'll need to put 5215 on your application to associate yourself with this branch. Or if you can contact our office at 478-745-9944. It'll actually you can leave your name and number and address, and we can actually mail your application out. You can send it back in with a check, and we can get your membership process. But if you want to do it online with a credit card, you can use that option also. Like I said, it's only $30 a year, and if we don't act, then we got to start. We got to ask, and we are pleading to you to join this organization. We're dealing with we would think in our 21st century that we wouldn't be dealing with racism, systemic racism, discrimination, hate crimes. You would think that we would not be dealing with these type things, and people don't realize that even though lynching is something that is unlawful, people are still, I was just talking to the state president that somebody was lynched. I don't forget what city it was, but someone was lynched here in, I think, Georgia.
Wow.
So, even though they may not do it the way they did it 50, 60 years ago, they're doing it with paper and pen now. So, if you get terminated from your job and you didn't do anything wrong, and you for no reason, they say we are at will state, but we're talking about with paper and pen. That's still you're being treated the same way you were treated 50 years ago. They're just doing it with paper and pen. So it's best to be we will take your case once we investigate it to see if you actually have a case, but don't wait until you need us to come to us. We'd rather for you to come to us and we can work together. Like I say, the more people we have working, the stronger this branch can be, and we can be full force to be able to help us more people than we are able to help.
Well, we're run out of time, but we thank you guys for joining us today, and we hope you were enlightened by the information we've given you. And please check out our website and join the NAACP, a great organization. And until next time, I'm Willie Dumas, your host, along with President Westbrooks. Have a great evening, and we'll see you next week.
You have been listening to the live broadcast of the NAACP with Gwinnett Westbrook and Mr. Dumas. Come join us next Monday at 4 o'clock p.m. on 980 WDDO.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.